Hi, my name is Ana Grillo. I was one of the directors for the movie The Trial that was produced by ACGL Productions, as well as the cinematographer, and I am here to answer some questions about the film. We did both. We used in challenge conventions. We used the conventions of romance movies and specifically romantic comedies. We used the very bright lighting with the missing sands. It was in the afternoon and it was in spring, so the trees were green and the sky was very blue, so it's like a very light colors as well for the missing suns, and pastel colors for the costumes, as well as a lot of bright colors for the food in the basket. There was a lot of like lively bright colors, and we used that convention. We used a convention of very bright colors and lighting, very bright lighting. We also used lively music with the song More Than a Woman by the Bee Gees as part of the conventions for romance movies. We use a long shot as well to show their body language and their costumes, so the audience could see those. For the camera work, what we tried to do the most was medium close-ups and close-ups, as well as medium shots. That's were the shots that we tried to do the most, so the audience feels closer to the characters. And as well, from transitions, we use normal cuts and match cuts. The match cut that we used was when they were walking, finding a place to sit down, and the normal cuts were just used for when they were talking, having the dialogue, the conversation in the picnic. Now, we also use the conventions for horror movies. The conventions for horror movies that we use were the dark lighting. We use that a lot. We use the darker costumes for Salem. For example, we use a dark green costume to, first of all, show how she was the villain, and second of all, to show how she is a witch that is very much connected to nature. That's the conventions that we use. We also use out of the conventions for horror movies when it comes to camera work. I specifically, what I tried to do was show the power imbalance between Salem and Joseph. For example, Joseph, I tried to do angles that were higher, so I did high angles on him to show how he was lower or under Salem. And for Salem, I tried to do cowboy shots paired with low angles to show how she was the one in power over Joseph and how she clearly is the villain. Other conventions that we use, the music. We use kind of like, at first we used eerie music when they were on the date to change the mood from a very romantic scene to a more eerie, dark, horror-like scene. We changed the mood a little bit there. And at the end, the music that we chose was very much dark, kind of like screeching music that it's very much used in horror movies. We use an L cut for the end when Salem goes and puts the hand on the camera and goes for Joseph and Joseph screams. We did an L cut there to match it with the scream and the music, to match it to the title and the blank scene, the black screen at the end. And I think that's all for the conventions that we use. Now, for challenging or conventions, the conventions that we challenged were the one of men always being the killer. In horror movies specifically, in horror movies, most of the time men are the killers or the stalkers with the kidnappers. For example, Scream and Friday the 13th. And we challenged that convention by putting our main character to be a woman and the villain. We decided to do this because the plot of our movie is basically someone that pulls in people with dates on a dating app. Oh wow. Pulls people in on a dating app, and then They pull them in, they make them trust the person, and then boom, they kidnap them and convert them to their cult. And because most of the time men are the killers, men are the kidnappers, men are the stalkers, women are more easily trusted than men are. So we thought it would feel better to put the main character to be a woman. Our movie also represents social groups and social issues. One of the social groups that it represents is religious people. We did that with Joseph by having him dressed in very formal dress wear and carrying his Bible, even though he's going to a date, as well as his cross. That's how we represented specifically Catholics. We decided to represent the social issue of meeting strangers on the internet by mentioning how they met on the app Bumble, to showcase how meeting someone on the internet can be very dangerous, and you might think that you're meeting someone that is some way and they might end up being a way that is totally different.